Hey, Rosa.
How are you?
Where do I even begin?
Yeah, we're gonna do a quick debrief of the week.
Yeah, let's do that. So, my car wouldn't start this morning.
Naturally.
Yeah, no idea why. It like turns over, but then it's just like,
No thanks.
no. Yeah, no. So, other than that, Kilo is hurt. He like burned his paw, so we had to go to the vet today.
Was it just like on the hot pavement, you think? Or?
I think so. Yeah, it's on like the big paw pad, so he'll be fine. But he's obviously milking it and being very dramatic. So, how was your week, Ben?
It's been okay. I feel like I never have anything super eventful like you do.
No,
because you just can't catch a break sometimes.
No.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I recently moved, as you know.
Yes.
So
that was a big one.
Yeah.
Have you unpacked yet?
I've unpacked most of my stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's been taking a really long time. Unpacking really sucks. So does packing.
I would rather unpack.
Yeah.
Like with the whole moving process, with the packing, the moving, the unpacking, my favorite part is unpacking.
Yeah. See, I don't like unpacking because like I don't know where anything goes now.
But
like
see,
nothing has a home.
Part.
I just need everything to have an established home already. I don't want to create a home for everything.
Oh no, that's why I just need to come over and help you because I love organizing things and hanging things and decorating things.
I know you're gonna need to help me with that because I don't know what I'm doing.
Everything's pink. We need to go to IKEA.
Ooh, IKEA would be good.
Yeah.
We'll make a trip for that. So yeah, we're getting settled into the new place, and Daisy is doing her best. She got 5 teeth pulled. I don't know if we went over that last time.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, she got dental disease. So I know.
How old is she again?
She's 13.
Oh,
so I don't think she's ever had her teeth cleaned. Which I feel like most pets usually don't get their teeth cleaned.
Well, I give like the dogs like the dental,
like the greenies
Dentex
and stuff.
or whatever it is. Yeah. Other than that, not really. But they're younger too, so
yeah. Make sure you get your pet's teeth cleaned before they get too old. No, it was like a whole thing because like Daisy's got cardiac issues and she's got kidney issues. So they have to be like super, super careful when they're trying to give her anesthesia. So they don't like kill her kidneys or her heart.
Or her.
Or her, yeah. And like if we just let the infection in her teeth keep, getting worse and worse, it'll spread to her heart and then we're gonna have to fight infection after infection. So I figured we'd just bite the bullet and
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Oh no, sorry, that was really funny in my head for some reason. Well, I'm glad she's doing better.
She's doing much better.
Yeah, eating more, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I have an idea for today's episode.
All right, what's the big idea?
High school.
Dun, 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 dun.
The reason I want to talk about high school is because my 10-year reunion was this past Saturday. Did you graduate the same time I did?
I graduated high school in 2013.
Oh, same. Yeah. So it's been 10 years for you, too. Did you not have a reunion?
No.
That you know of, or you just didn't go?
I didn't go, and I didn't know if there was one.
Good. So whenever I was in high school, my my class like created this Facebook page that everybody was on. And that's how like everybody's been like keeping up with the reunion and stuff. Unfortunately, I was unable to go because it was in North Carolina. But I've been seeing all kinds of people post pictures, and honestly, I don't even recognize half the people.
I think it'll be fun just to go and like see old friends and just see what they're up to. Like see how they're doing.
Yeah, because I was looking at the pictures and I was like, oh, there's so and so. Like I don't even like know what's going on in their life anymore and stuff. Yeah. It would have been really cool to go, but I wasn't gonna make a whole trip to North Carolina just for it. You know.
Yeah, and honestly, like I feel like at our age, you're going one of two ways. Yeah. You're either like married, already have 2 kids, and you're already settled down, or you're still just living your best life, doing your fucking best.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I really wish I could have gone, but like I said, it was just too far away. But it was really cool, like seeing all the pictures and our class president, Ashlyn, she did a really good job, like setting it up. She took like printed off old pictures of us from when we were in
Aw.
high school and like too. So I was only in that school system for 3 years. A lot of the people that were there had been there since like elementary school. So that's kind of why I think I didn't really know mostly everybody's because,
Do you travel around a lot?
yeah, I moved a lot as a kid. I lived in like 12 homes before I went to college.
Oh my god.
I mean, I wasn't like in foster care or anything. I was with my parents, but we just moved a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, but I made some really good friends there too. But most of the people that I was friends with didn't go also. So, I mean, there were some people there obviously, but so what was your high school like?
I honestly, my high school experience was so just average. Like you just picture what you would see like in a high school like movie. Like that was
Yeah.
my life.
Which like group were you in?
I hung out with a lot of like the popular girls, but I
Oh.
was never the popular girl. I think they were just being
Mm.
nice to
So
me.
you were their pet?
Yeah, kind of. But like I didn't really care too much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like a lot of my
Mm.
friends were like a big part of like the popular girls.
Yeah.
And then there's me.
Oh no.
Which was fine. But like, I
Yeah.
got invited to like a lot of events and stuff. Um but I would probably say that's like the closest group that I
Mm.
had as far as
Well, I know you swam. Were you like on the swim team in high school
I was
or
yes, I was for
Mm.
1 year and then I did like aquatics outside of school.
Aquatics? Oh,
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah. So yeah, I swim a lot outside of school.
Oh, I got you. Were you like in like band or anything?
I played the flute in middle school.
Oh no.
And then I got really self-conscious. I was like, I don't want to be the band freak.
Oh
So I stopped in high school.
no. Mhm.
But I kind of wish I'd stuck with it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just sort of feel like in high school I was so focused on like how
Fitting in.
yeah, fitting in and like how I look to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's still something I struggle with in a lot of ways, but I was so focused on like being accepted,
Right.
even though it just didn't really matter.
But honestly, I feel like everybody has kind of this similar experience in high school.
But I mean, there are like, the band geeks that I don't want to call them geeks because I actually had a lot of band friends, but
I'll call them the band geeks. I also had
but
friends.
like they just sort of like
yeah,
did a deep dive into that, and that was just
that was their whole
yeah,
personality.
and like that's so cool for them. Like I just didn't have that confidence to do that.
Yeah. How big was your high school?
I think my graduating class was about 300
Holy
students.
shit.
Yeah.
Mine was like one something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like 270, I think is what it was.
Wow, that's insane though. We had my high school was a new high school. I think when I started going there, it had only been there for like 2 years. So and it was like out in the sticks also. So very country, very rural, like very like new too. And but my high school, like we didn't really have cliques. Like it's not like the movies. It wasn't at all. Everybody got along with everybody for the most part. I mean, obviously you had like the feuds that go on or whatever, but the nerds were also the athletes. But then you've also have popular kids that were in band and theater and chorus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like a regular like, oh, this is the popular group. This is the nerd group. Like
that's what I hear a lot from like smaller rural schools.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just don't really have the space or just the capacity to have designated cliques like maybe I did because I grew up in, suburbia.
Yeah.
Well,
and you gotta think too, like most of the people that went to my high school grew up together.
Yeah.
Like they've known each other since they were, kids.
So it didn't matter if you were going to go into band or if you were going to be a jock or if you were going to be the nerd.
Yeah.
You just were who you were.
And everybody, like I said, pretty much got along. Like we even, there wasn't much like bullying at my school. Like even with like the special ed kids, like the popular kids would always like go make sure they were okay. And I remember this one time there was one kid that was picking on a special ed kid, and we were at lunch at the time, and the whole school like stood up almost and almost
Oh.
fought this kid that was picking. I don't know if he was like a new guy or something, but we just didn't stand for that.
Yeah.
Now I don't know about you, but my high school went through like some trauma. We lost 3 people in like 2 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a whole school like thing.
I feel like every school kind of has their own traumatic experience
Yeah.
with one of their students.
Yeah.
Like we had, I think, 2 drunk driving incidences. We had an overdose.
Ooh.
Yeah, bad car accidents.
That's what started with us, was a bad car accident. I think that was our junior year. I still remember it. I was on a chorus trip actually to New Orleans, and we were on our way back when we all heard the news. We were on the bus. Yeah, and that was the first like thing that happened. And so that was really rough. Like the whole school, I remember for the next couple of days, they had like counselors coming in, and there wasn't much school going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
healing and
And of course,
recovering.
the whole school went to her funeral.
Yeah.
And then I believe our senior year, we had 2 people pass. We had one person overdose, and the other one was like a motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was, I didn't know the last guy, but the first 2, I knew pretty well. So that was a very traumatic thing for my school, especially being like such a small school
Yeah.
and everybody knowing everybody.
Yeah.
But other than that, we had obviously some really good experiences, and my house was like walking distance to the high school.
Oh, okay.
So my house was like the go-to house. Yeah, I'd come home sometimes and there's people at my house. I'm like,
oh,
why are you guys here? Like,
what
I'm
are
not
they?
even here.
That's kind of cool though. It sounds like,
Yeah.
your school had like a nice sense of community.
Yes, it was very close knit.
Yeah.
I remember one time this guy, he was in my weightlifting class, and so I was kind of close to him or
Weightlifting's
whatever.
a class?
Yeah, we had it anyways.
I think we did have it too. I think we did. You're right.
It was the first class of the day, which whose idea was that? That was awful. But yeah, there was this guy, his truck broke down and he was like close to the house, so he just pulled his truck into my driveway. And he left his truck there until he could like get it fixed. My dad's just like,
man.
whatever, you know? And he asked my dad for a ride home.
That's funny. But that seems to be the case like when you live in like a smaller rural small town like that. Like just everyone knows each other. Everyone's willing to help each other.
Yeah.
See, that's not the case for us. Like we all have our own separate things. Like all my business and you'll mind yours.
Yeah. But I just feel like I see benefits to both, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you could go back and change it, would you like still do the same thing?
Probably. Yeah. I feel like I had a pretty decent high school experience. I didn't love it. I don't think anyone loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, nothing bad happened to me. It was safe. I never got bullied, never got picked on.
So I went there from, what is 10th grade? Sophomore? It's sophomore, right? Yes. Sophomore year to senior year. That's whenever I went to my high school. Well, before that, I went to a more city type of school, like all through middle school and my freshman year. And it was a lot larger than my second school. And that's kind of when I was like, Mom, I don't want to go here anymore. Because it was a much different experience. I mean, we had like bomb threats and like, I mean, it was a very like not really safe school. But I will say the difference is like opportunities, like especially in sports, was a lot different.
What do you mean?
Like, so when I was a freshman, I ran track and played soccer both. I could have gotten a scholarship as a freshman in running track at my previous school. But whenever I switched schools, the soccer team was very brand new. So, I mean, we went through like 4 coaches in 3 years. And track, they only had spring track. They didn't have winter track. So I wasn't able to do both.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like the opportunities are a lot different because, colleges or whatever look at
The
the bigger
bigger,
schools
yeah.
that are more established.
Mm-hmm. And they want to see like their track record too.
Right.
For the school.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think I had a much better experience at the smaller school.
Yeah. That seems to be the case in a lot of stories that I hear from people who come from smaller towns, and they're like, oh, I really liked my, schooling experience. It was more close knit. Everyone got along. Like we all stood together,
I liked it too when, at my old school, I had already established like who I was. But going to a new school, I got to be whoever I wanted to be from
Was
the
that
start.
like a freeing feeling for you?
It was because previously, like, I was very much tomboy and never wore dresses or skirts and never dressed up, so when I did dress up at my old school, everyone pointed it out and it just made me feel very self-conscious.
Yeah, because it's not you.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the new school, I was like, they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You get to like start over again.
And my old school, I was like kind of popular. I mean, I was an athlete, but I wasn't like the popular girl. Starting the new school, I was like, oh, who's this new girl?
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about the new girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I got to kind of start over. And I think that was a very, like you said, freeing experience.
Yeah.
Do you still like talk to any of your high school friends?
My friend Noelle, she's the only like friend from high school that I like really stay in touch with. But no, not really. Other than that, I don't really go out of my way to stay close with other high school friends. I also just didn't have a lot of friends in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was one of those that I was friends with everybody, but not like friends.
Like it was a very superficial,
yeah,
very acquaintance level.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think we all knew each other, but like we never really like knew each other.
Yeah.
No,
I had one best friend, Macy, that she like lived at my house, like so much so that she had chores at my house.
I say if you're gonna stay here,
you got to start doing dishes or something. And I mean, she would like stay the night there. We would ride together to school. Me and her still talk very much.
Yeah.
I mean, she's obviously off doing her own thing, and she's married. She's got a baby on the way. So we don't obviously talk as much as we used to, but she's like the main person that I talk to. Now I feel like she talks to a lot more people than like from high school than I do.
I feel like you're just so far removed from it, like physically too. Like you're just not in the area anymore, so like you're not running into people as much.
Yeah. Well, and she was one of those that grew up there too.
Yeah. So
she has
like you're gonna
she has a stronger bond or whatever.
Yeah.
But everyone else though, like I definitely like checking up on them, like kind of stalking them on Facebook.
On Facebook, I'll kind of just see. I'm like, what are they up to? Like, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that name in a while. I was like, glad to know you're doing well.
Yes, exactly. Glad you're alive. Yeah. I think it's really cool seeing how people develop like after high school.
Yeah, it's crazy because you look back and you're like, that is not the same person from high school. And I feel the same way for me too, I mean, in a way. Like I'm still really shy. Like I'm still kind of shy. But I don't know.
I think I matured definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't think I really
my priorities are just a lot different.
Much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love though the people from high school that kind of stayed within a shell, and now after high school they are like blooming and they are who they are with like no apologies, like that stuff like that makes me really happy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was this one guy I went to high school with, and he definitely struggled with like major like depression and drugs, and he was just like not doing well. But like now he's married, he's got like 2 kids. Aww. He's like just doing so well. But like my last memory of him
Yeah.
was when he was not doing so well.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I love seeing like people that are just happy to be like who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we've got people that are off traveling and married with kids. And I mean, obviously, like not everybody's doing well, but for the most
For
part.
the most part, yeah. Some people really just sort of fell off the other end.
Yeah. And
But
don't even know where they are or what they're doing anymore.
yeah.
But I think it's really cool seeing people like change, especially from like a small town, because you know there's a sort of image that you have to keep in a small town, unfortunately.
Mm.
But like whenever you move out of that town, I feel like you get to see like a bigger world.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because I have friends from like who came from small towns.
Mm-hmm.
They go to college, and it's like a culture shock to them because they've been so indoctrinated into this
Mm-hmm.
tiny little view of life, the way of the world, and they go out and go to a liberal arts
Mm-hmm.
college, and they're like, oh my gosh, like
What
is
is
going on? This
this?
is like a whole new world. Like, what
Yeah.
are you? Like,
I think
what is this?
Right. I think the biggest thing for me going to college was I could actually order food and it get delivered. Because like when I was home, I was like 30 minutes from everything.
Oh,
so
okay.
nothing would deliver to my house. So when I went to college, I was like ordering Chinese.
Is that why you DoorDash a lot?
And probably. I'm probably just like, yes, I can do it.
Because I know you're a DoorDasher. I'm very much, I'm going to go and pick it up myself.
Nope, I'm not getting in that car if I don't have to. Yeah, it was funny because like, you know, my parents would obviously send me money because I wasn't working or whatever in college. And my mom is just like, why are you spending so much money? Like, what are you spending your money on? Food, Mom.
Food.
She's like, go to the cafeteria and eat. Like, I'm like, but I can order food, Mom. Why would I do that? DoorDash. Yeah. I don't think they had DoorDash when I was in college.
They didn't?
Not that I remember now.
Oh.
I think that's a newer thing.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Even if it was around, it wasn't as
big.
popular as it is now.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think a lot of like restaurants had their own little delivery service.
Yeah, I would do like the regular stuff, like the pizza and the
Yeah.
Chinese and pizza, more Chinese. That was pretty much it.
See, did you do like the full 4 years?
No.
No, you didn't.
No, I stayed at my college for about a year and a half. Found out it wasn't for me, and then worked for a year, and then joined the Navy. So that was kind of my like process.
Big part of me thinks like I missed out on like the college experience because I never went to a 4-year college. That was my plan. I was gonna do like 2 years at a community college, and then transfer to finish off my last 2 years at a university or whatever. And I never did that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I missed out because I would always like go visit friends at college, and they're having these little house parties, and they're having so much fun.
I think,
but like I feel like in the grand scheme of things, I didn't miss that much. But
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad I did it. But you know, kind of like we said earlier, it was a huge culture shock because I grew up as an only child, and I always like got my me time, and like I was able to be by myself a lot. And when you're in the dorm room, you don't really get much of that.
There's always people in and out.
Yeah, and plus you've got a roommate, and you know, you've got to be like conscious of what they're doing, and like, you know, it just I didn't get much like me time. And on top of that, I was also a student athlete, and I didn't realize how hard that is in college. It was like a job.
I bet.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it was, you know, I had some cool perks, but it's like I had no time whatsoever. Like the first week I was there, we were doing 3-a-days. Morning, lunch, and evening. Soccer, conditioning, swimming. Like, and obviously it wasn't like that once, you know, classes started, but like I had practice every day. Plus I had to go to games on the weekends that sometimes we'd have to travel to. You know, we'd go to Kentucky or Georgia, or it was a lot. And then once spring came, I was like, oh, like I can finally like calm down and not really worry about it too much. But then our coach wanted us to do indoor soccer. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. I need a break.
Yeah.
You know? So it like, I do definitely have some good memories, and I made a lot of good friends. Most of my like friend group is from college. But overall, I just don't think it was for me.
Yeah.
You know? Because I like my space. And I didn't really get that.
Yeah.
And I also couldn't afford to live off campus either. Because my college was in the middle of the city.
Oh, and that was going to be expensive to live off campus.
Right. And my parents couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to work. You know what I mean?
That's my big thing is like, I did the 2 years at community college because my parents couldn't afford to send me off to college.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that point I was like, okay, well, what's the least amount I can do that'll get me
the same result?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think about like what would have happened if I would have stayed.
I was going to ask you that actually.
So many things would have been different. For one, I wouldn't have gone to the Navy, so I never would have moved to Virginia. I never would have met Warzone. But like, I'm happy how things turned out, because who knows what would have happened instead.
Yeah,
I'm sure things still would have been fine, but
but like this wouldn't be your reality though.
Right. It would have been something completely different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be with Ben. I wouldn't have Kilo or Simon, or you know what I mean? Like, so but who knows though. But overall, I think my high school experience wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Did you guys have like the full like 7 or 8 classes like in a row, or did you guys have like block scheduling?
I think we did it in semesters. Like the first half of the year were these classes.
Okay, so did block scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of the classes were like year round, depending on like what it was.
Okay.
But for the most part, it was like the block scheduling that it was different each semester. Which I think was like good for the most part, but some of the classes I feel like I needed more time in.
Yeah.
Because it was just like go, 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 go.
Yeah, we did block scheduling, so we'd have like 4 or 5 classes like a day, and then the next semester we'd switch it up into the other 4 classes. But my last year, senior year, I was only there for half a day.
Same. I did
because I didn't have to be there for the last half because I had already finished the credit or whatever.
Well, see, the thing with me is because I was an athlete, you have to be in school for a certain amount of time to be able to like go to practice and games and stuff. So I still kind of had to like fill my schedule. But my senior year was definitely a lot easier than the rest.
Yeah. I got voted worst case senioritis.
Oh no.
For my senior year. And that's crazy because like I wasn't like the popular girl. Like nobody really knew me. Yeah. They just knew that I wasn't there.
Oh yeah, that Asian girl. She's like never here.
She's just never there.
Did your school have like a lot of dances?
I never went to any prom.
So sad.
No one liked me enough to take me to prom. Oh, also, I think I was very standoffish.
No.
In high school? No.
I
did go to a few homecomings though.
Okay. Well, see, my school, we couldn't really have homecomings because we were such a new school. It's like, who's going to come home? Nobody's graduated yet.
Homecoming was like a big event for us because we had like alumni come in and we had just like the big game and then the dance. And, we lived in an area where there were like 4 other schools in the same region. So we're all just jumping from school to school.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure now homecoming is a bigger thing because it's been there for like 12 to 14 years now at this point. But it really wasn't a big deal at the time because it's just like, gosh, everyone's here like they were last game. You know what I mean? And we only had prom.
Did you go to all your proms?
Yeah, I went because it's like a junior senior thing. I went to both. My junior prom, I went with a senior, and we were dating at the time. Like, we had been dating for a little while at the time. And it was not a fun time.
Oh, no.
At all. First off, I drove my grandma's car.
You drove you and your date
Correct.
in your grandma's car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, like, sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, but he was rolling a joint in the passenger seat. Yeah. And then I think we like had, I think the school did like a midnight bowling thing after
prom thing.
After prom. Yeah. And then obviously we went home, so I had to take my date home first off. And then maybe around like 2 a.m. he like broke up with me over text message.
What did he say?
I don't remember. I think he tried telling me he loved me and I didn't say it back.
And he just took that very personally.
Yeah, I got it. So he broke up with me because I didn't tell him I loved him. So that was my first prom.
Okay.
Second prom, so I had a high school sweetheart that we started dating. This is actually the second time we dated. We dated back when I was like a freshman at my old school. And then we started dating again the summer of my senior year, like going into my senior year. And we dated almost the whole year until prom came around. And he broke up with me like a week before prom.
You and these prom breakups.
It was not a fun time for me. But I mean, I still went to prom. I went most like with my friends. You know what I mean? That was a lot more fun than the first prom. And I remember it a lot more. So, but yeah, I feel like prom is just
not all that it's chalked up to be. Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. Everyone says it's awkward and
there's such like a standard that you have to meet for prom. You know what I mean? That I feel. And I'm just like, I'm glad I went, don't get me wrong. But it also wasn't what it was chalked up to be. You know what I mean? I will say my dad, my senior year, because obviously I was supposed to go with my high school sweetheart and that didn't work out. He got me one of those little flower things and I still have it. Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it to. I was like getting my hair done with Macy and stuff like that. We were in this little salon and he came in with one and of course I'm over here like, ah!
Emotional.
You know, prom, like, you know what you see like in the movies and stuff where it's just like so romantic and
everyone loses their virginity on prom night.
Right. There's this like, you know, there's this bubble that you got to stay within for prom and it's awful.
Yeah. I was working instead of prom. Like I worked a part-time job.
Same.
In high school.
Yeah.
So
I feel like my first high school had a lot more dances than.
Yeah, we would have like dances periodically throughout the year. I just didn't care for them.
Yeah, because we had like we would have obviously the homecoming. We had I forgot what they called it, but the females are supposed to ask the males.
Yeah, that's a whole
There's
thing.
Like a name.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
We had like a Halloween dance. We had a freshman dance. I mean, there was all kinds of shit going on over there. But yeah, my second high school was not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I had a pretty good experience in high school, though, for the most part. I mean, obviously you're emotional as shit, but
yeah.
Yeah.
We all went through an emo phase, you know?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
No, like, people always talk about the emo phase, and I'm just like, I
think people take that in a lot of different contexts. Like, a lot of people go through their emo phase through, like, music, or sometimes they, you know, go through, like, the crazy hair and, like, the studded belt, you know?
I really don't think I didn't do any of that, really. Yeah. You know, because, like, in middle school and going into high school, I was the athlete, you know, but for music, I was only allowed to listen to country. Like, my parents wouldn't let me listen to other musics. So it pretty much, you know, it's just country. So I didn't really get to experience like the emo music, you know. And then I had a uniform in middle school. So it was very like I couldn't really express
Yeah,
myself
there
through
was.
clothes.
See, I never had a uniform.
Yeah. Well, and see, that was kind of a culture shock going into high school because we no longer had uniforms.
I will say having a uniform probably would have made my life a lot easier
It was.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everyone looks the same.
Yeah, you're
you
wearing
know?
the same thing. Like, there's no reason to.
But going into high school, I didn't really have a lot of clothes because
And you're
wore
probably still like trying to figure out
uniforms.
like your style,
My
and like
style.
trying to figure out what you liked and
Mhm.
what worked but didn't work.
Right. That was kind of the like downside to it, really. So and then the hair, the first time I dyed my hair was in college. I would do like highlights and stuff, but like straight up dyed my hair was in college, and I dyed it black.
Of all the colors,
Of all colors.
you went black.
And like box dye. Yeah.
I'm sure
It actually didn't look bad. Plus, my hair was almost as long as yours when I was in college.
Yeah.
And then I cut it all off. Like all of it.
Were we going through something?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It was right before I joined the Navy, and my hair was like boy cut.
Is there like a time in your life where like things just took a turn?
When did it?
Because you were like, oh yeah, we were fine. And then we went to college and I dyed my hair black and I chopped it off.
I definitely think college kind of was a culture shock to me.
Yeah.
You know, because I was very sheltered as a kid. Like not in a bad way. It was more like, you know, obviously my parents were protecting me kind of thing. But when I went off to college, I wasn't in that bubble anymore.
So you're like, I can do whatever I want.
And I did. And that's the problem. And my college was like an hour away from home. So I wasn't like in another state, but I was also like far enough that my parents couldn't just come say hi.
Just pop him out like on a whim. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a lot of partying in college. I partied some in high school too, but not nearly as much as college. You know? And then that's when like I was trying to like figure out who I was, and, you know, dyed my hair and dropped out and then joined the Navy.
Did all the things.
Yeah. The Navy was really a culture shock though.
Do you think that like if you had that freedom to be more expressive and explore, things would have been a little bit easier going into college?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Because I remember like my group of friends that I had did not come from rural areas.
Yeah.
You know, I had one friend that was from Nevada. I had one friend that grew up in Winston-Salem. You know, so it was very city. And, you know, and I noticed it like my accent. I was trying to like get rid of my accent.
I hear that too. A lot of people, they're like, oh, I tried really hard. Like I worked really hard to get rid of whatever accent that, you know, I have.
Yeah. Because there were like certain words that I would say that my friends would be like, what did you just say?
Do you have a little twang to it?
Yeah. Like oil. Oil.
Oil.
Oil. It was oil. You know, and my friends are just like, spell that? Like, what are you saying? And there was a lot of words like that. And I mean, you got to think too, I was born in Tennessee, so I've had the accent, you know, for 18 years. And then, you know, joining the Navy too, I also really kind of got rid of, like, I still have the accent, and I still have like moments where I'll like say something, I'm like, oh, that was country as shit. But looking back now, like I wish I wouldn't have done that. No, because I mean it's a part of me.
Yeah, I agree to that. Yeah, I know some people, they just work really hard to like get rid of it because they want to be taken seriously.
Fit in. Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but
which I think is kind of stupid. I mean, it's just the way you talk. You know,
it doesn't really matter. You know, and it's like a an English accent. People love that shit. You know what I mean? So what's different, like with a country accent? You know, like why should I get rid of that but not that?
Well, I think some people have this weird like misconception that
you're dumb.
You're dumb.
Yeah.
You're less than intelligent.
Right, exactly. Which, that's the stereotype, of course.
Yeah.
I will say whenever I go home to Tennessee, though, my accent, like,
I was just gonna say,
strong.
like, I know some people who are like come from like the sticks, and they, they have a very strong Southern accent from, when they visit home, and they come back, and some of it sticks a little bit.
And like, so, I mean, you've met my mom. Have you met my grandma yet?
I met your grandma once.
Yeah. She's very Tennessee and still very much has the accent. So whenever it's just us three together, I kind of feel it coming back. And it was funny because I think it was last summer we went to Tennessee, and Ben went with us. And the poor kid, he's very much city boy. I mean, he was born in New York. And so that was a culture shock for him, going to Tennessee and hearing the accents. And what my great aunt punched him. As soon as he got out of the car, she punched him so hard in the arm.
Like, he's probably like, what the heck? Like, what was that for?
Yeah, welcome to the family. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. He's the first guy I've ever taken in Tennessee, though. Oh. Yeah, so that was interesting. I mean, they definitely accepted him, and it was ultimately good, but it was just like the initial, hey, welcome to Tennessee. Like, this is what we do here. We punch people.
This is how we say hi.
He just kind of looked at me like, can we leave?
I was like, what just happened?
We just drove 8 hours for me to get punched.
Like, I don't like this.
But it was a good time. And I mean, it's very much farm country, and the whole road is my family.
So you all live like on the same.
Yeah, I mean, you got Aunt Janice and Uncle Bill right here. You got Aunt Mary Ruth. You got Steve. You got Jason. You got Tammy up here on the hill. I mean, literally the whole road.
Just not like that. My mom's entire side is in Korea. Part of my dad's side's in New York.
Yep.
I've got some family in this area, but that's like it. Like, we don't have relatives nearby.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm glad that I didn't really grow up in Tennessee, though, and we kind of moved out, because that town is one of those towns that you can't leave. You know what I mean? Like, if you grow up there, it's what you know, and you don't know how to leave it, kind of thing. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I think it's beautiful out there, but there's not a lot of opportunities. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things where, like, everyone works at these 3 places, you know? I love visiting, but it's one of those places that I don't think I could have. I'm glad that I didn't grow up in.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I mean, we would visit them every summer, and that was a lot of fun. But at the same time, it was also like, we're ready to leave. Yeah, but there wasn't really much to do out there.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're like
no
out
cell service.
Yeah, when like cell service is spotty. And
my mom and grandma went out there not too long ago, and I could not get in touch with her. And you know me, I'm just like, I talk to my mom every single day without fail. I had to go like 10 days without like really talking to her.
I can just imagine your anxiety.
Oh my God, it was awful.
Yeah.
I'd still try calling her. She either wouldn't answer, or like we'd only be able to talk for a few minutes, and then like the call would drop.
Right.
But
and when your service is spotty, like, I know you check your locations. I check my locations too.
Yeah, I check your location frequently.
Me too. Every time I start typing your name, the little map pops up.
Yeah. Like, especially this weekend. This girl would not talk to me this weekend. So,
I was going through something.
I kept, like, checking your location. I'm like, where is she? Like, okay, she's at home, so, like, she's fine, but is she fine? Like,
and the text me, she's like, are you okay?
I did that twice, I think.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Are you sure you're okay? I was like, yes, I'm going through it.
I'm just I thought she hated me. I thought I was being replaced.
No, I could never replace you.
No. Would you go back to high school?
No. Not the highlight of my life.
I don't think I would either. I mean, like, I had a good experience in college, but
Mine was just
high
mediocre
school.
at best.
Well, I mean, I had a good experience in high school, but also it's like cringy.
It was very cringe. You know, in freshman year, people like didn't know if they could approach me because they didn't know if I could speak English. Yeah.
Aren't you born here?
I was.
Okay. Cool.
But like just looking at me, you wouldn't know that though. Like
That's fair. Yeah.
And I was always a quiet girl, so they're like, does she speak English? Like, do I say hi? Like, how is this gonna work?
Maybe if I just wave, like.
Yeah. So it was like that first week of like freshman year where everyone was like,
do we befriend her?
Are we friends?
Like,
Not friends.
does she even know what the teacher's saying?
Yeah.
That is too funny. My biggest, like, when I switched schools, the biggest thing I was scared about was who am I going to sit with at lunch?
That is a really big thing.
I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew, I think, 2 people, and that's because I played soccer with them and they were on my travel team. But one of them was a year above me and the other one was in the same grade. But I was like, how do I even know we're going to be in the same classes? You know?
Yeah, and then like I know our lunch had like different blocks. Like you had the first lunch, second lunch, third lunch. And so like you're not guaranteed that everyone's gonna be there. So first day, you better figure that shit out because
you don't want to be the one that's like sitting by yourself at lunch, you know? But I definitely like, since I was the new girl and I was like this shiny thing that no one knew what it was kind of thing, people like, and I was pretty too. Like this is the first time that I was like the pretty girl, because in middle school I was not. I went.
We're gonna have to go through some photo albums, aren't we?
Yeah, that was, middle school was rough, but you know, going to the new school, I got to like do my hair and you know what I mean, like kind of pretty myself up. So I had like quite a few people talking to me.
Oh, so, did you now?
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. So that was not an issue. A bunch of people wanted to sit with me, so I was like, okay, this is I can stay here. But that raised some issues later down the line.
Oh no.
Well, I started talking to this guy, and I don't know, like, I didn't know the dynamics of everybody and like who's dating who and whatever. Well, apparently the guy I was talking to had a girlfriend at another school.
Well, how are you supposed to know that?
Right. Well, my first football game, this girl approached me like, why are you making out with my boyfriend? I was like, who's your boyfriend? And it made her even more mad. She's like, we've been dating for years and whatever. And like this girl was like ready to fight me. I was like, I just started at this school. I don't know you. I don't know who your boyfriend is. And like finally she told me and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, we were making out. And then she starts crying and then like I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Like I didn't know he was dating somebody. He obviously didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a little like something to get used to also, is because I didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you kind of have to like be involved to like pick up on who's dating who across schools and blah,
right.
blah, blah.
And like I said, like I had never been the pretty girl, so like I was getting all of this attention from guys.
And you're like, I don't know what to do with all this.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is nice. Explore my options. But
yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of dating in high school.
No. I dated a lot of people.
Good for you. I didn't really start dating until after high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was boy crazy. It was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any like bad experiences or anything, but I mean, I definitely like going from one extreme to the other. You know, I was kind of like, oh wow, like let's do this, let's do that. Like, who are you? You know?
Yeah.
So I wasn't really
like newfound confidence, right?
And I was one of those like I didn't stay with people for very long. You know, so it was like, I mean, you're in high school, so it's hard to be in a long-term relationship, really. Like Ben is the first guy I ever made it to a year with. yeah, and obviously, like, we've been together for 4.5 at this point, but, like, I had never dated someone for a year at that point. And we met in 2019.
When you and Ben like got to your year mark, were you like,
both of us are like, what now? What?
So now what's what now?
Do we do? You know, especially him. Like, I was his first girlfriend. I am his first girlfriend.
I was gonna say you were.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, this is my first time navigating this. I said, I mean, me too at this point.
Yeah, like this is uncharted territory for both of
us. Right. So it took us a while to like get to a routine or get into the hang of things, but
so this is your longest standing relationship.
100%. Yeah.
4.5 years is a long time.
It is.
Almost half a decade.
Oh.
Almost. Does not sound bad.
Yeah, it does. Don't ever do that. I don't like that. I was at work the other day and I was talking about my 10-year reunion being this weekend. And there's a guy that I work with. I think he's like 23. And he was like, when do they start doing reunions? Because I just said my high school reunion. He said, at what year do they start doing reunions? And I was like staring at him. He was like, no, really? I said 10. He was like, he said, when did you graduate? I said 2013. He said, I was 9. Okay, first off, don't tell me that. And then, like, the rest of the day.
It still trips me up when people have birthdays after 2000.
And they're, like, in their 20s.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, you're not.
I know.
I saw this thing one time that said, like, whenever you get carded or whatever, if you see 19 on the date, like, you already know you're old enough. And I was like, oh, that one hurt. That one hurt real bad.
Yeah, but if you think about it from somebody who's like born in 2000 something, if you say, oh, I'm born in 1990 whatever, they're like, oh,
you were born in the 1900s?
You're old as shit.
First off, late 1900s. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I had this kid come in for like a physical at work the other day, and she was totally 90s. She looked like she was straight out of the 90s. And me and the mom were talking about it. I was like, when were you born? Because you look like you were born in the 90s. And me and the mom were like, nostalgia, you know, talking about like how it's coming back. She was like 10.
Okay, so she's like kind of just being trendy.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, she had like the straight leg jeans and the Converses. She had the scrunchie in her hair. You know, and I was just like,
straight 90s.
Oh my gosh. Yes. All she needed was a windbreaker and it would have been perfect. Or she looked very cute, don't get me wrong, but I was like, oh my gosh.
Straight 90s.
Yeah, it was like, how old am I? Old enough to where our old style is like coming back.
It's vintage now.
Ooh.
It's vintage now. If you're getting anything from the 19 whatever, it's vintage.
I don't like that.
But if you think about it, like 1990s, like
we're older than Google.
Remember AOL?
I still have one.
You still have an AOL account?
I finally, like, I think 2020 was when I was like, I need to get a new email. Because every time I would, like, give, like, a store my email, they were like, AOL? Like, shut up. So I had to get a new email. Just to come up with the times. But yeah, I think that's enough for this episode. I think we've been kind of venting at this point.
Yeah, I think we have to.
About how old we are and how much things
We're
have changed.
30.
Like, my birthday's coming up.
You're turning 29.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
It's fine.
But, all right. Well,
thank you for listening, everyone.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure being your co-host for the last brain cell.
And let us know your experiences from high school.
Yeah, I know everyone
has a different
experience. Like mine was very bland, very typical. Well, meanwhile, Deanna's was
all over the place.
Not quite.
I know. It's kind of funny, like thinking about the different experiences that people have.
Yeah,
you know, and some people
sure.
hated high school. Some people like want to go
Well,
back.
yeah, some people are like, "Oh, I really thrived in high school," and some people are like, "Oh, I was just bullied in high school," or you know, like so.
Yeah, it's really funny, like seeing the different experiences that people have. But let us know, like how your experiences were experiences were.
Let us know how your experience was,
or experiences were,
or how the experiences were.
I did take English in high school.
Okay.
Anyway, like, comment, share, subscribe.
Share the love.
And we shall see you next time on The Last Brain Cell.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.